Hey y'all, welcome back. We're learning with Leaven again. It's Fern here at Leaven Kitchen. And today what we're gonna go over is the dough divider. Now this is an automated, or I should say a semi-automated dough divider. So the machine has a few different parts, right? A few different components. We have our lever. We have our sort of our height adjuster. This little guy, this is where it comes in handy if you have the manual on hand, have access to the manual, right, to see just based on your recipe or sort of based on the height of what you're working with. That's where you would sort of adjust this. This has a couple little notches on there. You want to make sure it's the right height so it cuts and it cuts properly. From there, when you push down, you have your lever here. And again, that's what's going to cut that dough for you. From there, you have your tray. So this tray is sort of in what they call a 36-part tray. You know, it can do up to 36, right? And really what you want to do is you want to put your dough on here and sort of form it on there properly. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Just going to grab again my pizza dough here. And we're just going to hope that it cuts properly for us. So you may need to shape this a little bit, again, depending on what you're making. Always handy here at this point to actually have a rolling pin if you have one. But again, this is just a quick demo. Just want to show you guys how this guy cuts. So as you can see, I'm loading this guy up here, this tray, and it's going to stop right at the end for me. What I haven't shown you yet is that there is a hole right here that corresponds with sort of a pin, an indentation up here. So when I put this into place, I snap down, and now it's going to stay in place for me. So we've already talked about sort of the manual part, right? We pull this down. This is what allows us to pull this down. And you want to give it a little bit of force, a couple of tugs like what I'm doing there. But now we're actually ready for our semi-automated part, right? So you want to make sure that this guy is on. And you'll notice, if you hear that, it's going to power right on for me. So there's just a little switch. Switch it up. Now it's on, it's ready to do its thing. From here, you notice I have not let go of this. So it's gonna cut first. I can then pull this lever, and we wanna hold it for about 10-15 seconds, because what it's gonna do as it shakes and it rotates, it's designed to roll your dough up into little balls, individual balls for you. So I've gone ahead and let it do its thing. Shut it off. Now I'm ready to see what we've done, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this guy up, pull it up all the way. My dough is a little bit uneven, but you'll notice with this machine, it's designed to make these little balls for you. That way you're not on your table, right? You're not having this dough and you're having to make perfect little balls every time. Again, they're a little uneven for me just because I didn't put the right consistency in there for you guys. Just, you know, it's a demo, but really this is what it's supposed to do for you. Gonna cut your time. I believe this machine is rated to where it can do hundreds of individual dough balls at the same size, up to a 4-ounce ball in an hour, right? So again, if you're sort of on that assembly line type situation, you're making a lot of things, you're making a ton of biscuits, you have a market coming up, whatever it is, definitely a great tool and a great machine. And it's really simple in how it functions and how it works, right? Definitely want to make sure you put that back into place. But it's really simple in how it functions and how it works, right? You load up your dough, you make sure it's on there properly, you load it up into the machine, bring it down, and then the semi-automated handles the hard part for you, and that's making these little balls. Nothing to it, guys. We're going to go ahead and show you how to clean this guy, and then we'll wrap this video up. So now that we're ready to clean, we want to make sure our machine is unplugged, of course. And this machine actually weighs about 800 to 900 pounds. It's a heavy boy. So there are a couple different components. There's a push pin that I'll show you here in a second on the side, or a pin that sort of keeps it together. There's one on each side. But what I like to do is sort of use some elbow grease. I'm a big boy, I like to lean into it a little bit. But what I like to do is sort of put my foot here, push on here, and that makes it easy for me to sort of pull out that pin. If you're not a big boy like me, it might be a little hard, but again, it's just sort of what I'm doing there is this machine is designed to sort of open back and forth, and I'll show you what that looks like in a sec. but I'm sort of getting these holes aligned. It's a big steel machine. It's not aligned, you know, 100% right. So by leaning on it, I'm able to pull this pin out. Once the pin is out, now I'm ready to come over here on this side. Again, use some leverage, use a little bit of elbow grease, and sort of pull this guy towards me. The pin is still set on this other side, so I can sort of gently just let it come down. From here, you're gonna want to make sure you're cleaning this guy properly. And again, we're unplugged, but we're gonna use a lot of the same tools we've been using this whole time. So we've gone ahead and leaned this guy off to the side. I'm gonna show you a little bit of how it really functions on the inside, but also how to clean it as well, of course. We're ready to clean this guy. So what I like to do is sort of spray the main contact surfaces, both the plate on the bottom and the plates here. And then from here, just grab your towel, right? Your regular towel. You really want to give it a little bit of elbow grease in there. You want to get that dough, some of that dough is going to stick just naturally to the machine. You also want to pay attention to this rim here. Some of that dough, especially if you have a big batch and it kind of overflows, some of that dough tends to stick on here as well. So don't be afraid to give it a couple more sprays, a couple passes. And again, you want to make sure you wipe this off properly on the base plate as well. So I'm going to go ahead and wipe here, get sort of in those nooks and crannies, making sure all that excess dough, all that gunk is off the machine and the next person is ready to use it. Or when you're ready to use it again, you're ready to go. So again, sprayed it again, wipe off, and then really wipe these edge pieces down really well as well. That'll help get some of that gunk and some of that stuff off of there. Part of how it works is you sort of push it down onto your plate, right? And then you push this guy down, and that's what cuts it. So what I like to do is when it's in this side, or when it's on the side like this, is I'll push it down, sort of do the cutting motion like we did earlier. So again, once I've sprayed it, it can get a little tedious because you do want to make sure you're getting in each one of these. There's 36 of them, right? But really, once you get the hang of it and once you get going, pretty simple, there's nothing to it. You can sort of check in there, making sure you're cleaning it off properly. And one thing I like to do is once I've sort of gone in there and cleaned these up real good, is I let it go. And that tends to push some of that residue off of there as well. So it pushes it through, and now I'm able to clean it properly. So you might want to do that a couple times, spray again. Again, really the key there is you're getting all that dough out of there. Again, making sure you're getting your base plate nice and sprayed and wiped down, and then just cleaning the machine in general. So key there, we clean that. From here, you definitely want to use some spray, right? Your typical sort of non-stick spray should work. There is a specialty spray, especially for these machines, that you can use as well. That is probably recommended, but you spray that down, that keeps it nice and sort of lubed up there for you. Because it's metal, right? It's steel. You know, it tends to rust, and we really don't want that. So at this point, I've cleaned that up real good. I've cleaned my base plate, done my thing. You really want to make sure you put this down as slow as you can. It's heavy as crap. That's okay. Let it do its thing. But now we're ready to put our pin back. And when we're ready to do that, When we're ready to do that, we put it back in place. You'll notice it's going to be a little difficult to do, but again, you can sort of pull it towards you. Nope, we might want to get a different angle. Pushing it's probably easiest here. So now we're ready to put this guy back together, and there's really nothing to it, right? We've already put it back down in place, and now really all that's left is to put the push pin back together. You'll notice it's you know, stainless steel. It's a nice heavy boy. Looks like a T, right? So it only goes in one way. Really want to start by pushing it through initially, getting some leverage, and sort of moving it around a little bit, pushing that in and just pushing it in as you go. Now I'm ready. Now I'm ready to go, ready to move on to the next part of my recipe, finish up my rolls, my biscuits, whatever I'm doing, and I'm good to go. So once again, guys, this has been a quick tutorial, a quick walkthrough of the semi-automated dough divider. Great machine to use. It's going to divide the dough. It's going to roll up the dough for you, nice even balls. So, you know, it's cutting your recipes a lot of times in half, a lot of times a little bit more than half, right? Make sure you hit that like, make sure you subscribe. Got some more Learn with Fern content coming up, so please don't miss out.